Welcome to our online class of social science. Today we are going to discuss one of the important topic of class 8th, that is Indian Constitution. This is the first chapter of 8th class social science book in social and political life portion. So here we have content of this chapter. In this chapter we are going to discuss introduction of the chapter, preamble, what is constitution, why do we need constitution, the path to constitution, the Constituent Assembly, important terms of Indian Constitution, and the key features of Indian Constitution. These all points we are going to discuss in our video. So here we have first picture of a great personality in India, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of drafting committee, who played an important role in the drafting of Indian Constitution. Coming to our next slide, this is about the preamble. Preamble is considered as an introduction to Indian Constitution. Here if we see the definition of this preamble, an introductory statement in a constitution which states the reasons and guiding values of Indian Constitution is called preamble. It is also called soul of Indian Constitution. Here in this slide you can see complete preamble and the key features which are highlighted in this slide. Preamble is like this: we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thoughts, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this constitution. Here you can see that in this constitution preamble, all the key features of Indian Constitution are mentioned. In these key features you can see sovereign, that terminology is used. We will discuss about all these key features one by one in our next slides, along with the basic features of Indian Constitution. And in the last it is written that on 26th November 1949, hereby adopt, enact, and give ourselves. Meanwhile, this was the day when Indian Constitution was completed and it was enforced on 26th of November 1950. The reason of implementation of Indian Constitution on 26th of January 1950 was of historic day importance of that day, because on 26th January 1930 complete Independence Day was celebrated. That is why that day 26th of January was chosen for the enforcement of Indian Constitution. Here coming to our next slide, here we have definition of Indian Constitution. Definition of Constitution, that how do we define the word Constitution? Constitution of a country is a set of written rules. It is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people living together in a country. So in simple words, we may say that it is a set of rules which is accepted by all the people in the country who are living together. In other words, it is the supreme law that determines the relationship among people living in a territory, and also the relationship between the people and the government. Here, in simple words, you may say that it is a document by which all the people of the country are governed. It is a set of law in which all the instructions of the country and all the rules and regulations of the nation are drawn. Coming to our next slide, why do we need a constitution? What is the requirement of constitution in a nation? Why we need it? So here are some of the points that shows the necessity of the constitution in a country. The first point is that it generates a degree of trust and coordination among different kinds of the people to live together in a country. Meanwhile, by the constitution, by the rules of this constitution, people may have trust on each other. They can believe that if people are following the set of rules, they can live together in harmony. Second is, it specifies how the government will be constituted. Meanwhile, in these rules, it is written that how people will form the government, who will have power to take decisions in the country, how the head of the country will be elected, what is the role of executive in the nation, how laws will be formed, how judiciary will function. So in constitution, all these things are defined clearly. All these rules and regulations are defined clearly. Third, it lays down limits on the powers of the government and tell us what is the right of the citizens. What are the basic rights of the citizens? Meanwhile, in the constitution, we can understand that fundamental rights and duties of the people are defined, and in this constitution it tells us that what freedoms people do have. Next one is, it expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society. Means in constitution we can have all the basic values, all the basic points which we tell that how the people can create a good society. So for these all points we need a constitution. Coming to the path to Indian constitution, because India was ruled by Britishers for a long time, from 1757 till 1947. They occupied most of the territories one by one. So this path of making constitution in a country which was governed by the Britishers was not so easy. Our Indian leaders, Constituent Assembly makers, they did their best efforts to implement Indian constitution and to make this draft of the constitution. So this process began in 1928 when Pandit Motilal Nehru and other members of Indian National Congress, they drafted one constitution, because in 1928 Simon Commission came to India under the leadership of Sir John Simon. He had 7 members in that commission. When Simon Commission was boycotted by Indian people, saying that it had no Indian member, that time one challenge came in the mind of people, or challenge was given to Indian leaders to frame their own rules and regulations, which was accepted by Pandit Motilal Nehru ji and other leaders, and they framed one some rules and regulations, and it was a it was the first path to the process of this Indian constitution, in which there was a demand of provincial autonomy or self rule to Indian people, although it was not accepted by other political parties of that time. Next, in 1931, the resolution at the Karachi session of Indian National Congress that dwelt on how independent India's constitution should look like. In Karachi session of Indian National Congress, leaders of Indian National Congress, they decided that how to frame Indian constitution and what basic features has to be included in Indian constitution. Although this process could not be completed that time because of many reasons, because that time the civil disobedience movement was in progress. In 1946, cabinet mission came to India, and in that cabinet mission, Sir Stafford Cripps, A.V. Alexander and Patrick Lawrence, these 3 members, when they came as a cabinet mission, they gave approval to Indian Constitution Assembly. The reason was, after the Second World War, now Britishers, they were unable to hold the control over India, and they were bound to give some freedoms to Indian leaders. Constituent Assembly, as I had told you that in 1946, when cabinet mission gave approval to form the Constituent Assembly, after that, on 9th of December 1946, first meeting of Indian Constituent Assembly was held. That time Dr. Sachidanand Sinha became the president of Indian Constituent Assembly, although he was replaced by Dr. Rajendra Prasad after 2 days. They started work for the process of Indian Constitution. The Constituent Assembly wrote the Indian Constitution had 299 members. The Assembly adopted the Constitution on 26th of November 1949, but this Constitution came into effect on 26th of January 1950, as we celebrate 26th January as a Republic Day every year. As I told you earlier also, that Constitution was completed on 26th November 1949, but this date 26th January was specially chosen for this enforcement. The reason behind that, on this date in 1930, under the leadership of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and others, complete Independence Day, Purn Swaraj, was celebrated in India. Coming to our next slide, here you can see name of President of the Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who became the first president of India too. So here about the debates and discussions of this Constituent Assembly, because it was not completed in a day, it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. You can calculate from 9th of December 1946 to 26th November 1949. So in this 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, many meetings were held. People of the Constituent Assembly, they visited different countries, they collected data from different nations, from different constitutions. Here you can see the drafting committee chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar prepared a draft constitution. As all the members, they collected the data, they wrote constitutional rules and regulations. Then after, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was given this task to prepare a draft constitution. Several rounds of 1,000 discussions took place on the draft constitution. More than 2,000 amendments were considered. Every document presented and every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly was recorded and preserved. These are called Constituent Assembly debates. When printed, these debates are in 12 bulky volumes. Now coming to important key features, key words of Indian Constitution which are given in Preamble 2. Without these key words, you will not be able to understand the key features of the Indian Constitution. So these important words are: first, democratic. As we discussed in our Preamble 2, that democratic here it refers that Indian Constitution made India a democratic nation. Democratic, as you all know, that when we read definition of democracy, which is written by former President of America Abraham Lincoln, he wrote that democratic government is the government of the people, for the people and by the people, and government of the people, for the people and by the people. So a form of the government where people enjoy equal political rights, they elect their rulers and hold them accountable. This government is run according to some basic rules and regulations. The second feature of this preamble in Indian Constitution is sovereign. Sovereign refers to that in the country government has supreme right to take the decisions. Means government is not under the pressure of any foreign country. It can take its internal as well as external decisions. No external power can dictate on the government of India. Indian government is fully independent to take the decisions. Next is socialist. This term refers to social and economic equality. Wealth is generated socially and should be shared equally by the society. Government should regulate the ownership of the land and industry to reduce socio-economic inequalities. As you all know that in Russia, after the Russian Revolution, socialism was established, although, as per that socialism, land and property was under the control of the government. But here, this socialism, this term socialist is modified, and it was considered as a social and economic equality to the people of India. Coming to the next term, one of the important key term of Indian Constitution, that is republic. India is a republic nation. Republic nation you can understand in very simple words that a country in which the head is elected person, not having any hereditary position. Just like in our country, nominal head of the nation is president. So president is elected by us, elected by representatives of MPs and representative of the people through a special electoral college. So we can say India is a republic nation. Coming to next feature, that is justice. That justice is given to all the people in the country without any discrimination on the ground of caste, religion, gender. Social equalities has to be reduced, and government should work for the welfare of all, especially for the disadvantaged group or the marginalized group, that justice is to be given. Another key feature of Indian Constitution, that is liberty. Meanwhile, in India, people are given freedom, they are given a liberty. There is no unreasonable restriction on the citizens in what they think, what they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts of action. This has come in our fundamental rights also in the form of right to freedom. Next one is equality. Equality refers to that no discrimination to all the people. Means people are not discriminated on the basis of their caste, color, gender, religion, race, etc. They are equal before the law. Traditional social inequalities have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunities for all in the country. Another key point of Indian preamble and the feature is the fraternity, meanwhile a brotherhood. All of us should behave as if we are the members of the same family. We have to consider each other as our brothers and sisters, as a group of family members. We should live together in harmony without any discrimination, without any caste, color, religions differences. No one should treat a fellow citizen or inferior citizen in the country. All will be considered equal. That is fraternity. Coming to another important key features of Indian Constitution, which make our Constitution as a great constitution in the world, because Indian Constitution gives us a democratic nation, and this is considered as the best democratic example in the world. So first feature is of Indian Constitution, that is the federalism. This term is very simple in understanding. If you understand that it is a government in which there are two or more than two levels of the government. For example, we have center government, state governments, and local governments, meanwhile Panchayati Raj. So these three levels, which are vertical level, vertical sharing of the power, these are called federal governments. In India, we have holding together federations in which one central government is having more power, that is the supreme authority, and states are given independent powers to take their decisions. In case of any clash between the subjects, then central rules are obeyed. So here you can see that a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and the various constituent units of the country. These are called, this is called federalism. Here you can understand in another term that it is a system of the government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units. Two or more than two levels of the government is called a federal government. Coming to next, parliamentary form of the government. You might have heard that India is having a parliamentary form of the government. In parliamentary form of the government, people of the India have direct role in electing their representatives. They elect their leaders. Leaders, they can be changed by the people. In this type of government, the supreme authority of the country rests in the hands of the people. As elected representatives, they are also elected by the people. So this form is considered as a best form because government representatives, they are accountable to the people, they are answerable to the people, and all the country is governed in a legitimate manner. Separation of powers. Separation of powers, here it refers that in country, this large country where around 130 crore people live, so in this country it's not possible, it was very difficult earlier, you can say, when all the powers were in single hands. Dictators and monarchs, they were misusing their rules. They considered themselves as a divine right. Hence, to make democracy more powerful and to give more power to the people, all the powers of judiciary, executive and legislatures were made independent, and all these organs, these were made independent and dependent on each other. It is called horizontal sharing of power, that power is not in one hand like president or prime minister. It is given to judiciary members. Judiciary, here it refers that law making authorities. uh, Judiciary, here it refers that people, those who are taking decisions on various issues, disputes, that is supreme court, high courts, district courts, subordinate courts. The another one is executive. Executive members refers to permanent and political executive. In permanent means those who are elected by the boards and the governments, and political executive refers to the people who are elected by the people, MPs, MLAs, etc. And the legislature. Legislature is making laws for the nation, Indian Parliament and another legislative bodies of the states are making the laws. So these powers are separated. Now one man or one organ can't take all the decisions of the nation. It is given to all different organs. Coming to next slide, it is related to fundamental rights of the country. Fundamental rights, there are 6 fundamental rights. As per original constitution, there were 7 fundamental rights. but one right was repealed, that was right to property. Now we have 6 basic fundamental rights by which country is governed. These fundamental rights can't be changed easily in the Indian constitution from the basic structure. It is very difficult and difficult process. So these fundamental rights are given in article 12 to 35 of Indian constitution. So first fundamental right begins with article 14 to 18, that is right to equality. In this fundamental right, all people, all the citizens of the country, they are given equal status, they are given equality, and it is written that no one would be discriminated on the basis of caste, color, gender. Untouchability is banned in the country under article 17, and except educational and medical line titles, all the titles are banned, means to give equal status to the people. Now in country, president of the country and an ordinary person, all are equal. Second one is right to freedom. It is also a very important part of Indian constitution. It is also considered as a cluster of rights. In this right to freedom, people, they are given right to form their associations, to live in any part of the country, to do their trade, do their profession. Okay, they are given freedom of their expressions, freedom of their thoughts. So all these freedoms are given to people in article 19 to 22. This is very important right which is given to Indian citizens. Next one is right against exploitation. Right against exploitation, here it refers that people can't be exploited by the others. Even child labor is banned, means under 14 years no one can force a child to do the labor work. Human trafficking, selling and purchasing of human being, that is also banned in the country. Right to freedom of religion, this is one of the basic feature of the constitution which is considered as a secularism. According to this, all people in the country, they have right to freedom of their religion. They can choose any religion, they can celebrate any religious festival, they can change their religion. That complete freedom is given to the people. That is why in India we don't have any official religion like Sri Lanka. Just like in Sri Lanka they adopted Buddhism as their official religion, but we respect all the religions equally, and there is no state religion of the country. Cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational right, here it refers that people of the country, they are given cultural freedom. They can celebrate cultures, they can adopt culture of any religion, any caste. They can share their culture with each other. Even some minorities in the country, they are given some rights to form to have their educational institutes to promote the culture, to protect the culture and civilization of their rights, their religion. So that cultural and educational right is given. No one can be denied to take admission in any of the public institution. Right to constitutional remedies, the last one. This is article 32. According to this article, means if any fundamental right given above these 5, right to equality, freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational right, is snatched, forced by other people, then people can take the remedies of the courts. Here they can go to courts, or judiciary will protect their rights. That is considered as right to constitutional remedies. So here one of the another feature of Indian constitution we had already discussed earlier in this previous slide, that is secular, that India is a secular country. In our country people can follow any religion. There is no official religion of the country, and government will treat all the religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. I hope you understood this chapter, the path of Indian Constitution and the basic key features of this Constitution. If you have any doubt, you can write down in the remarks box, and keep learning social science through these online classes. Thank you very much.